Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rain here, back with another Borderlands 3 build video, and today I'll be going over a shooting star Zane build called CometKing. This build was created by VX Falling with the help of myself, and a shout out to Lone Masterino for helping VX Falling understand certain Zane mechanics to help him create this build, and a shout out to Moxie's Comet Queen Amara build, which is the inspiration for this shooting star build. So just want to make this clear that this is not my build, but VX Falling's build. First, I do want to put a disclaimer that this build only works in certain maps without mods, and I'll explain why. The shooting star is a shield that drops a splash projectile when you melee an enemy and your shield is depleted. This projectile drops from the sky and will interact with terrain and also has a duration of it falling. Certain maps will make it impossible for the shooting star to work, like places with roofs or a lot of cover, as it will hit the ceiling, as well as guardian takedown being at different Y levels, and the shooting star spawns at a certain Y level and does not get to the ground of guardian takedown before the duration expires. But it will work in certain places of mountain line takedown, like the final bridge, and places like solder shaft, as well as certain proving grounds. But with a mod that fixes collisions and duration, it can be used very effectively. I will have the mod posted with the save file in my Discord. With the mod, it can be used in any content, and so strong, it's insane how effective it is. And probably never nerfed because the collisions were never fixed, so no one really could see the true power. This build is focused on having the mod so it's shooting star damage only, instead of focusing on some melee and some on the shooting star. So you could probably make some adjustments if you really wanted to, but in that case, I'd probably just play a different build. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The save file will be linked to my Discord, which is down below, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, and with this build, we have a couple ways of doing anointment, so I'll go over all that. We're gonna have a good way to proc the shooting star. So we have a face puncher here. You are going to want times 14 for the most procs of shooting star, since it's not a chance, it's guaranteed, and it has no cooldown. Every time you shoot an enemy with a face puncher, it has 14 projectiles going, as long as you hit every projectile, which is pretty easy to do. So you got 14 shots going there, and then I used Digiclone ammo regen here since I'm using Digiclone. Having that ammo regen is really good since we use up a lot of ammo by using times 14, but it's better than using times 7 because it's just half the damage. Even though it is consuming more projectiles, it would just mean longer time to kill. You could just occasionally swap to a cut purse if you wanted to and not have to worry about ammo upkeep with ammo regen, but I prefer not to, so I really like this. And then we have two other face punchers, one with Terra Cryo. This is for bossing. Bossing, you really won't run out of ammo, so you can just do that. The bonus element is really nice and pretty noticeable, if I do say so myself. And then I have a melee apply Terra face puncher. This is the swap to if I want to use Terra ammo regen on my shield, Terra damage fire rate on my grenade, and Terra cryo on my gun. It will be less ammo regen, but it'll be more damage. It's just a little bit more swapping, and there's no definitive what's better or worse. Doing it like this could be better. It's just some upkeep management and not needed, so just something that you can do and could be fun. And then a guardian angel here, just if you wanted to do some guardian angel swapping, you could shoot enemy and then go to the guardian angel. Another thing that's really nice with this is you could be shooting this face puncher to spawn Terror, and you'll also spawn shooting star. And even if you swap to this face puncher with the already spawned shooting stars, once they hit an enemy, they will be getting this Terra cryo. So just quickly swapping there can be nice. And if you really wanted to do just really high damage, you could be shooting the face puncher and swapping to the guardian angel if you wanted to, and that could be really cool as well. It all just depends on what you want. And then because there are reasons to use elemental projector, I also have some self-dotting guns like the sellout, Wester gun, and the Trevinator, all low level. I also have these at level 1 just to prove a point and showcasing that the face puncher are not using for damage. It's purely utility. Even with having the max level here, the damage isn't noticeable since we're not focusing on melee damage at all. I also have a Terra ammo regen on here just because if clone does go down, then you don't have this ammo regen going. But if you use this instead, you would have consistent ammo regen. It's pretty easy to keep clone up, and there's been a few times he's gone down, but it's mainly been my fault. So it's just an option there. And then a low level backburner that is possible to get at Mayhem 0 on True Trial on a new playthrough after you defeat the story. If you had some sort of meta build, I'm sure you could do it in True Trials. This is just to break your clone shield. This is low level enough to where it'll just break the shield and not anything else. So that's there if you wanted to. Just a good way to keep clone's shield down, because we will be using clone to proc shooting star as well. So that's why we want clone shield down. And now of course the whole build, the shooting star. For mobbing, I really like to go radiation for the rat explosions, and then for bossing out element match, this can even do raid bosses like True Trial bosses. It does really well and surprisingly good damage, like hundreds of millions with perfect gear. And I think that might be without elemental projector, I don't remember, but it's still really high damage to where it can even kill True Hag of Forever pretty effectively in like maybe 3 minutes. I may be overestimating or underestimating, but it does really well. For the anointment, you want to go ASC apply terror. Unless you want to use a melee apply terror face puncher, then you can go terror ammo regen. The reason we go ASE instead of melee here is because when you go down into fight for your life, melee apply terror stacks go away, while ASC terror does not. So that's just more consistent, more of min-maxing. You'll basically have it up all the time anyways, so you can go either or, just whichever anointment you get to roll first is all that matters. And then for the grenade, we just want something for a clone to throw. Mainly you want to go terror damage and fire rate for the V1 damage, and the fire rate, which indirectly also gives V1. This will be really good in a huge boost. The other places we're getting it is from Kuka Combo and our Guardian rank over here. It says gun damage, but it's V1/global damage. So you've got that going for it, and also the option of Victory Rush. But if you don't use Victory Rush, then this is a lot bigger boost. You can also use ASC applied terror or melee applied terror, and then have terror ammo regen here, and then go like a cryo face puncher, or you could even still go digiclone and just have almost 50% ammo regen. But that'll be really good either way. I prefer having the damage because it's just a huge boost. You can also use a Hunter Seeker. This is used to proc salvation as well as crit skills like Renegade. This will help us as we have no way to proc salvation otherwise, or Renegade, since myself and clone will not be able to crit because the damage we're dealing can't crit. So that's just something to keep in mind. But clone does sometimes accidentally explode right in front of enemies. When it throws it, it'll impact will sometimes kill clone. So you may have less clone uptime there. And depending on the gear and how well you play, you may not need the lifesteal. But it still is very nice. The element doesn't really matter. It's just radiation, because why not? You could do whatever element you're not dealing, like fire damage, and then have a Armageddon stack, but that's very min-maxy. I much prefer the It's Piss. And then we have the infiltrator. Literally any infiltrator with good passes will work. The top rolls don't matter. You do not need violent momentum, as it does not impact the shooting star. Shooting star has a base damage. It does not matter the impact or damage that you apply to spawn the shooting star. So I just had some fun with having movement speed skills here, literally just for fun, just to go faster. You know, who doesn't like to zoom? You want an infiltrator with stuff like splash damage and splash radius, and then magazine size helps with the ammo regen. I'd probably prioritize splash damage and splash radius over mag size. You could get reload speed, fire rate, action skill cooldown. Action skill damage might affect clone shooting star. I don't know how clone spawning stuff exactly works. I just know it's very strong, so I use it. And then here I like to use with the radiation, I like to use Atom-Bomb auto idle, but the main thing you're gonna want to look out for is an auto idle or victory rush. Auto idle is very good for survivability since we don't have consistent ways to proc our lifesteal, so having this auto idle is really nice and what I prefer. But I also have perfect gear, so I don't need the damage, but in the end it's whatever you get a good version of. So I got Atom Bomb here with radiation. When I use corrosive, I like to use the Flesh Melter. You could also use an Icebreaker, mainly with like a cryo gun or cryo shooting star. I like to use the Icebreaker. It's very nice there, and gives some good V2 damage, which I don't think I get anywhere else. I may be forgetting something, but it's very good bonus. It's just depending on what content you're doing, you may be killing enemies before you can get Icebreaker, but using a cryo one's a lot better there. Last Stand is actually really nice for survivability. This is just a full out one of survivability of Last Stand auto idle. You could use a Vic Rush with whatever element you're using, but we got action skill cooldown rate here as well. Got that there, and then we got a bunch of elemental projectors. I've just got it with Vic Rush since this is mainly for bossing with high raid bosses that have a bunch of health like True Trial. You can inflict a dot on you and then go there. Shock doesn't really work well, and I don't remember what else. Maybe fire. I have really low dots, so those aren't as effective, but going like corrosive is really good with elemental projector. Same with cryo and radiation. So having those going can be really nice and really fun, seeing that high damage going up. And then for the passives, you're going to want to match elements of whatever shooting star you're using. You may notice I have like corrosive with Flesh Melter, different elements here, but cryo with Icebreaker, and then matching element to whatever I would be doing damage with. And then you're going to want area effect damage in your either second or third slot to get increased splash radius as well. And then mag size can also be nice for ammo regen. And then any other thing I could think of is just action skill cooldown rate. Nothing else really helps. You could get double roll on some elemental damage, but definitely would not be mag size just because of ammo regen going on. And then for the skill tree, we do not go death follows close. We are literally kind of just going for good misfortune to keep up our action skill. So we go 5 cold bore. This is to swap items around. This is especially good if you go the terror cryo and melee apply terror route. Then we have violent speed to move around. Movement speed is actually kind of more impactful on this build than some builds because movement speed is survivability of dodging attacks. So having movement speed is really good. Reload speed, even though we're using ammo regen, we still are going plenty of fire rate, so you still are reloading. You don't want to go for no reloading because that just loses DPS. 1 point in salvation, this is just for if you're using Hunter Seeker. 1 point in seeing red to activate your kill skills, and then violent violence for fire rate, and then 1 point is all you need for good misfortune when using clone. Then in red tree we go to clone capstone because clone can proc its own shooting star if it melees with like a face puncher or like a blade fury. Probably I'd assume its own stinger, well, scrap stinger, it doesn't work with it because you need a shooting star, but like fish slap, just anything it melees itself with items, it can proc its own shooting star. It just needs to have its shooting star broken, and so then it will be dealing damage, and that's just a really good second source of damage. And then it also draws aggro, so it's good even if you were using capstone, which when working on this build we did at some point not use capstone. But here we've got 3 Prey Mutinous for mag size, Borrowed Time for the action skill duration, Donnybrook mainly for the health regen, but if the gun damage helps clone shooting star at all, that's good. Fractal Frag so clone can throw grenades, Duct Tape mod for splash immunity. I don't think this can deal self damage to shooting star, but it's there nonetheless. A Quick Breather for keeping clone alive. It does recharge your shield and clone shield, so just keep that in mind, but it's pretty easy to get it back down with the Mantis charge. Then we have Old U with getting out of fight for your life easily, another survivability thing. Just press this and get right back up, but we have tons of damage. Shooting star usually easily gets us right back up, so you don't have to worry. Supersonic Man for movement speed, 1 point in pocket full grenades to support boom and hands, which gives clone more damage, health, fire rate, reload speed, and duration, just all really good here. And then Trick of the Light is really nice because this will apply to the shooting star, and so we'll have that going, and when clone draws aggro, then we'll have Trick of the Light going, which will be pretty often. And then Double Barrel so clone will get a face puncher to shoot or shooting star, and it does not matter which face puncher clone gets, won't be getting any anointments here, so that doesn't matter. And then we go Green Tree here. Actually, we go purely for rise to the occasion because we'll always be having our shield broken. We'll have full uptime on that 5% max health per second, and since unless we're doing Hunter Seeker, we won't be having any salvation going on, but also even with throwing the Hunter Seeker for salvation, it is not consistent, so it is really important we have health regen. So getting points out of Death Follows Close, because it does not boost damage in any way for the shooting star, as well as taking some points out of Purple Tree, we are able to get max rise to the occasion, as well as getting some adrenaline, which is mainly dump point because you're not benefiting from this action skill cooldown rate, but it's better than Hardy Stuck and Ready for Action here, so that's why we go rise to the occasion. And then for Purple Tree, we go Renegade, just for if we have the Hunter Seeker going, with if it crits, since it counts as a gun, or at least a bullet, then it can crit and proc Renegade for the 1.5 max health, which is still really nice. And then we have Mana Focus for accuracy and handling, Commitments there for the action skill cooldown rate, and then Fugitive for the sprinting and shooting. None of these really matter. Colder Shoulder is good when using Icebreaker, but that's about it. Brain Drain, we're not killing things with Mantis, so this doesn't do anything, but it's better than Wet Work, I guess. You can literally just unequip it and it doesn't matter. And then of course going Clone, we have Which One's Real for clone to draw aggro, better for survivability, better for clone to keep its shield down, and then keeping Trick of the Light up for us. And then Doppelganger to blow up clone if we need to reposition him somewhere and swapping is very ineffective there, then Doppelbanger is right there for the taking. And then here we have turned off shield reboot and emergency responses, as a lot of infiltrator builds do. Since we're breaking our shield via infiltrator, we don't want it coming back up. It is a while depleted. It is not when depleted for duration to have this happen. It's when depleted this happens, so you have to keep it down at all times, and these just make it a lot worse at keeping down, so we keep these off. And then just a little fun thing, you can use like boundary issues to break your shield easily. It also means going Mayhem modifiers, and there's nothing that's really impactful to help our damage otherwise, and Zane doesn't really need it, so we stay at Mayhem 11 mainly, but you can go to Mayhem 10 and then you get Fun Speed Demon. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. Again, this is by VX Falling, and it's super fun and unique, and I would have never thought about using the shooting star on Zane, and the amount of different gear you can use is really fun as well as some skill tree flexibility. It is unfortunate that a mod feels almost required to play this build to its fullest intent, but it's still super fun, and I hope people that do have access to mods will try this build out. Again, you can find the save file and the mod in my Discord, which is linked down below, as well as my other socials. If you haven't, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.